Hello and welcome to FinextraTV. I'm Alex Lipich and you join us in Amsterdam at Money20. And I'm very pleased to be joined kindly by Ermes Dajko of Temenos. Thank you ever so much for being here, Ermes, and talking with us today.
Pleasure.
So, Gen AI, clearly a huge topic at the moment. A lot of people talking about it, especially at this event. So, how would you say is Gen AI transforming decision-making processes within banks and the financial industry as a whole? Let's start there.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, decision-making is really at the heart of what banks do, right? They take big and small decisions every day, many times in a day, be it for launching new products, new offerings, launching new campaigns, understanding customer patterns, their behaviors, or even delivering basic client services on a daily basis, right? And all of these activities heavily rely on data. But most banks have a challenge in getting intelligence out of their data quickly enough. They have to rely on legacy systems, fragmentation, and a lot of manual steps in between, right? Gen AI has a potential to change that completely because it can bring business users within the bank closer to the source of truth, allowing them to speak to the data directly. So instead of having data scientists slicing and dicing data, IT experts, security experts coming together with a lot of approval steps in between, right? That can slow things down a lot. Instead of going through that, you bring the people who need the data directly to the source, allowing them to express the requirements in business language and getting their intelligence on the spot instantly instead of days, months, or even in complicated scenarios in a matter of months. So imagine, for example, a business user speaking to AI agents that now do the heavy lifting in connecting the dots, analyzing vast amounts of data, and AI models are much better doing that than humans, and presenting back results in business language. For example, a business user could ask, what customer segments should I target next? Right? What should I offer to my young professional customers? What is the attrition risk of my healthcare workers, and so on? The business user will get those results instantly and without having to go through approval processes and steps. So in essence, Gen AI is kind of accelerating, boosting productivity and making intelligent decision making faster and cheaper.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that really interesting insight. Clearly it's got a lot of potential, a lot of capability. So in terms of responsibility, how can banks ensure that AI is used, or Gen AI, responsibly? Are there any particular regulatory processes that should be in place, do you think?
Now, the last couple of years, the rise of Gen AI has proven that it literally changes everything it touches, and banking is no exception. But like with every disruptive technology, it's different when you apply it in banking. And that's because, particularly for AI models, banks need to make sure that they deploy and consume AI models in a secure, responsible, compliant, and explainable way. So all of these three together in a responsible way, as we call it. If I take the first dimension, the security, they need to make sure that they have security and data frameworks in place to make sure that AI models don't consume data that they shouldn't, or PII data don't leak to AI agents or their users that they shouldn't as well. When it comes to compliance, and this is an area where is rather interesting, and we feel that is an area that is ripe for disruption. But it's an area where we think that it's not going to replace humans fully and completely. It's a sensitive area, and we see AI models acting more like paralegal assistants of some sort, going through vast amount of regulatory text, performing impact analysis for compliance officers on regulatory changes and so on. So acting like shoulder-to-shoulder assistance for compliance officers, right? And last but definitely not least, it's about explainability. You cannot consume an AI model for decision-making within a regulated environment, in banking especially, if that model is not open, it's not transparent, and it's not explainable, not just for the bank stakeholders, their customers, and definitely for the regulators. Now, I should also mention about, it doesn't come as a surprise that EU is leading the space when it comes to introducing regulatory frameworks, most notably the EU AI Act, which does set a framework on how to best responsibly deploy and consume AI models, be it for creditworthiness or KYC AML scenarios and so on and so forth. So it's interesting to see how the space evolves, because the AI Act did not capture the rise and the boom of Gen AI models, the LLM models and whatnot. So it's definitely an evolving space to see how that is going to evolve in the next 1 or 2 years.
It really is an evolving space, and thank you again for that insight. So how can banks really leverage Gen AI specifically to really improve and ensure the best customer experience, customers being obviously quite an important sort of aim of the game. So how can they do that, do you think?
Well, we feel that Gen AI has a potential to redefine personalization. So customer experiences are ultimately linked to personalization. Customers want personalized offerings, personalized experiences when they need them. And we feel that with the Gen AI is this breakthrough technology that allows banks to finally do it right. If you think about it, the way that we look at personalization now is outdated. It's not going to take banking too far because it hugely relies on analyzing data of the past, trying to predict behaviors of the future, like customer life events and so on. At the same time, banks are used to offering one-size-fits-all kind of products, the same accounts, the same cards for everyone, and personalization is just limited to, at the best, pricing, right? If pricing at all. But Gen AI now turns the tables around. It turns the value chain around because it can make banks from listeners to speakers. Generative AI models have reached the tipping point where they are great conversationalists with users. So you can imagine customers speaking to a bank as if they were speaking to a private banker. So it's not anymore banks offering products guided by the customers. It's actually customers designing and shaping their products guided by the bank. It's a different model where it's more customer-centric, and the customer doesn't pick from a catalog, but talks to the bank and describes what they want in human language and gets a product on the spot. It's really personalization redefined.
It really is a totally different model, like you say, and it's quite incredible to see just how far and how quickly things have moved over the last 12 months. I'm not going to keep you any longer, let you get back to the busy event, but Ermes, thank you so much for talking with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Thank you.